Okay, so we'll finish up chapter 6 on ancient Rome and the rise of Christianity. This is page 4. So as Rome went out and took over these areas and started to have more people from different cultures under their leadership, they started to issue more rights and allow them more opportunities. So Rome tolerated other religions as long as citizens showed loyalty by honoring Roman gods and acknowledging the emperor. So within their home, they could practice their religion, worship how they chose. But once they were outside, they needed to show that they were honoring Roman gods and acknowledging the emperor as the leader. So, let me just kind of adjust this a little bit, sorry. Okay. Okay, the Gospels. These are the first 4 books of the New Testament. The word gospel comes from the Old English word for good news. So here's the four books, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And basically, this was telling the story of Jesus by 4 different people. So it's the same story, but in a little bit different way. Jesus was arrested by the Romans, tried, and condemned to be crucified. Crucifixion was a Roman method of execution. So Jesus was also crucified with 3 other men, but Jesus was the only one that was nailed to the cross. So the spike was driven through his palm first, and they feared that might tear through, so it was driven through his wrist on both hands and arms. Then you can see there's a piece of wood that's kind of at an angle, and then the feet would be placed on that, and then spikes driven through the top of the foot. The other men were actually like hanging on to the wood cross or tied to it. But just the fact that you're hanging there makes it difficult to breathe. And Jesus was impaled by a spear. I think he suffered probably 3 or 4 hours. And this picture here in the center, this is Pontius Pilate, and he symbolically washes his hands of this whole affair. He just lets the people decide, I'm done with this, you do with him what you will. And they wanted to execute him. Constantine issued the Edict of Milan, which granted freedom of worship to all citizens of the Roman Empire. So they could then worship how they wished. After the Battle of the Milvian Bridge, Christianity was declared the official religion. So that's really interesting, to go from the Roman gods and showing allegiance to the emperor to now allowing them to worship how they wished, and then also to have Christianity as the official religion. So change in leadership, crisis. In one 50-year period, at least 26 emperors reigned, and only 1 died of natural causes. So of course that tells us that many of them, if not all of the others, were killed or fled, forced to leave. Political violence, there was instability, high taxes, over-cultivated farmland. A lot of these things started to lead to the decline or fall of Rome. One man named Diocletian, he set out to restore order. He divided the empire into 2 parts, thinking it might be easier to rule if it was a smaller area. So this tan part here was the Western Empire, and that was the home of Emperor Maximian. On the eastern side, the Eastern Empire. So this is the home of Emperor Diocletian. And home of Constantius, one Maximian Caesar. and home of Galerius Diocletian Caesar. So those were the leaders there. He fixed prices for goods and services to help in slowing inflation. Constantine continued some of Diocletian's reforms. He granted toleration to Christians and built a new capital city, Constantinople, located on the Bosphorus. So originally this city was called Byzantium, and then he changed it, named it after himself, so Constantinople, and then today we know that city to be Istanbul in the country of Turkey. Kind of a little side note, there's a fun little video. There's a musical group called They Might Be Giants, and they sing a song, Istanbul, not Constantinople. So I usually show that to the kids. It's kind of fun. All right. Reforms. So some of the reforms are changes. So some of the reforms had mixed results. They revived the economy, and by increasing power of government, they helped hold the empire together for another century. But they failed to stop long-term decline. So it was going down, and it did for some time, and they failed to stop that. So then we have a summary of the causes to or of the fall of Rome. So the four causes were military, political, economic, and social. And then I've just kind of described about each. So the military invasions, more people started to fight back to try to take back land. Under political, they had an oppressive government. There were corrupt officials. The divided empire didn't really help things. In fact, it led to further problems by having it divided. Economic, there were heavy taxes and the population declined. If you have less people, you have less people to pay taxes, so that caused a problem. And finally, social, decline in values and the selfish upper class of people. They weren't looking out for anybody else but themselves. So, okay. And that finishes up our chapter 6 on ancient Rome. Thank you.